Hey folks, happy Friday. We continue our FUMCCV devotional. February, the month of love. Today is Friday, February 11th, 2022. All right, God shows love for me when God works all things together for my good. God shows love for me when God works all things together for my good. Romans 8:28 is the passage on this day. Romans 8:28. So open in your Bible there. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, Romans. Romans was written by Paul to people who are living in Rome, most likely Jewish Christians who were living in Rome, who were undergoing some great persecution. And many of the sort of questions about the Roman that are answered in the letter to the Romans is about sort of God's steadfastness, God's abiding with us during difficult times. Is sort of the questions like, is God still here? And how do we find God amidst the hard moments? And so much of that is what Romans talks about. So Romans 8:28 is a part of just a great chapter. It's maybe one of my favorite chapters in the whole biblical text. So after we read this today, go and just read all of chapter 8. In the middle, around 28 to 29, these great verses, and then also the end of Romans. Many of you might recognize the end of Romans chapter 8. Okay, 8:28. We know that all things work together for good for those who love God, who are called according to his purpose. We know that all things work together for good for those who love God, who are called according to his purpose. Now, I gotta tell you, this passage can be challenging. That all things work together for good for those who love God. You know, the truth is, a lot of us know people who love God deeply, and yet their lives are a mess due to sickness or disaster or for some other reason, and it's sort of like, God, they love you so much, like what happened here? All things work together for good for those who love God. And so some people would answer that question by saying, well, it's not an issue if someone didn't love God enough. It's not as if everyone's life who is great loves God, or everyone who doesn't love God, their life is terrible. That's clearly not the case. Look at the world around us. And so then it becomes a question of understanding what the good is. What we would like to think is that the good doesn't just have to wait for the afterlife. So if my life crumbles around me and I just can't find very much good, do I really have to wait until I die as a person of faith to get the good in the afterlife? I mean, there is that. But of course, our hope is that the good might happen sometime in this life as well. And sometimes it might have to be redefining what good is, understanding good in the eyes of God versus my own image of good. So it's not easy. It does go along, though, with promises of God's abiding presence with us, that as we are loving God and drawing close to God, that God is always there and God is with us. And certainly that is one form of the good. So whether you're having a good day or a bad, whether it's a moment in which you're feeling deeply in love with God or far from God, I pray that you know the promise of this Romans passage, that God is working all things together for the good for those who love him. So let us continue to endeavor to love God. God bless. Have a great day.